What's up, guys? It's Cannan back with another video here. And if you guys have been watching the video long enough, you guys know that I love sharing stories of my childhood about games that made me into the gamer I am today. And if you know me very well, you know that there are three genres that are pretty much my go-to. That being RPGs, whether that being Japanese role-playing games, Western role-playing games, any and all between. You know, I'll even play a game like Destiny if it has RPG elements in it. And then of course you have survival horror. You all know how much I love scary games. I don't know why, I just do. And then of course you have the farming simulators. From Harvest Moon, which is now known as Story of Seasons, to Stardew Valley, to Rune Factory. You guys know that I absolutely love those kind of games. Not just because you can find romance and get married and have kids in them and all that, but just the pure fun that they are. Now, this video is about a game that is a good bit old. Came out, I believe, in the late 90s, early 2000s, but it's one of those stories I don't think I have fully told you guys, and that is how I discovered the Harvest Moon series, which is now known as Story of Seasons. And that first game was Harvest Moon Back to Nature. Now, how it all started was a friend of mine at that time had given me a bunch of their old copies of Nintendo Power. If you don't know what Nintendo Power is, it was pretty much a Nintendo magazine that you could get monthly that would talk about upcoming new games and stuff like that. You know, in this day and age, those kind of magazine subscriptions are kind of disappearing. There's still some out there, but they're kind of becoming old hat, you know, getting phased out by digital markets and all that. And to this day, I still remember the copy that it was, and it was the copy of Nintendo Power that had Donkey Kong 64 on the cover, and had slits cut in to where you could open it, and there would be Donkey Kong and the whole other cast behind the cover. Now, of course, eventually this cover got ripped off, and I didn't have this anymore. I just had where on the front it was just Donkey Kong and all the other characters from the game. And you know, I will never forget going through, because I was bored. I was probably 6th or 7th grade at this time, I'm guessing, and flipping through it, and then I came up on a little old game called Harvest Moon 64. Now, being from the South, even though I've got the accent and I've been here my whole life, I've never been much of a farmer. That was my dad. You know, I've lived on farms most of my whole life. Never really lived in a city. Lived in a neighborhood for a good few years at one point. But for the most part, me and my family lived out in the country on farms and stuff like that. You know, my dad would grow a garden. The only animals we really had were cows and chickens. But that is because, you know, we kept the chickens for their eggs. The cows that we had for the most part would always belong to somebody else. They'd be like the owner of the place we lived at, but Dad would still help with them. Now, the house that we moved into, you know, before my dad passed away, was ours. And, you know, Dad took care of the cows. We only had cows on this farm. But, you know, didn't milk them, but, you know, he would raise them, and if we had any bulls, he would go sell them off. You know, it'd be a little extra income. But Dad always kept a garden. And I tell you guys, I'm not a big fan of some vegetables, but the ones that I do like, and some of the best fresh produce you will ever get is straight from your own garden. But when I stumbled upon this game, I was at first like, really? A game about farming? I mean, really? So of course I would read about it, you know, tilling your field, watering your crops, growing them. But the thing that really drew me was not exactly the farming at first, though I liked that you had to take care of your animals. You could have chickens, you could have sheep, you could have cows, but you could get story events throughout the village. There would be festivals, which I found very interesting. And of course, you could get married and have children. And at that time, I think Harvest Moon was one of the only series where you could actually do stuff like that. So this game actually got me to where I wanted to start helping my dad around the farm for a little bit. It didn't last long, sadly. But eventually went to the mall, went to EB Games. Yeah, it tells you how long ago this was. This was back when EB Games was still in North America before GameStop bought them out. And I was looking for Harvest Moon 64. Well, they didn't have Harvest Moon 64. Instead, they had Harvest Moon Back to Nature for the PlayStation 1. And at first, I was bummed until I turned it around and looked at some of the screenshots that it had from the game, and it literally looked like the same game. So, of course, I got it. And, you know, that's wild now, thinking that I bought this game while it was on the shelves still, brand new, retail price. Took it home and fell in love. I can't tell you how many hours I put into this game. And now, one of my favorite stories to tell people about this game is that one day I was playing it, and my brother, who was a good few years older than me, had come over for some reason, and he was watching me play it, and he played 20 questions with me about it and stuff like that. Well, another day came where I was up early because I was getting ready to go to school, and he showed up at the house. He was like, "Hey, can I play that for a little bit?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, I guess, yeah, I just don't save over my save spot." And so, remember, for me, when I was in middle school, school started at 8:05, so this was before 8 a.m. Left the house. School ended at 3:05, and it was usually going on 3:30 p.m. by the time we got home. He was still playing from before 8 a.m. to after 3 p.m. He had sat there and played that game all day. And like for a while there, my brother was a fan of the Harvest Moon series. When Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life came out on the GameCube, he bought it. And he was calling me going, "Hey, how do I feed my cows?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't have it yet." But strangely addicting these games can get. Now with Back to Nature and Harvest Moon 64, in a way, the setting of these games, the characters were so popular that at that time they were called something else, but pretty much, you know, the ones who make Story of Seasons now are the ones who were making it. Natsumi was just the American publisher of the game, but it proved to where they wanted to use these characters in more games. Now, apparently, there was a girl version of Back to Nature, from what I've been told, and from footage that I've seen, but I don't think it was ever released outside of Japan. I could be wrong on that, but I never saw it. But of course, we got things like Friends of Mineral Town, which is basically the same game. It was just on the Game Boy Advance. We also had more Friends of Mineral Town, the same game, but you played as a female farmer. And then, of course, recently we had the Story of Seasons Friends of Mineral Town remake, which was on the Switch, the PS4, and I believe Steam as well. Basically the same games, same characters, though slightly redesigned, and it had some of the same music in it. Like, you can ask Jess. I put this game in first time I got it, and just when I walked into Mineral Town and heard the classic Mineral Town music, I almost cried, you know, because I haven't had a Game Boy Advance in so long, so, you know, it's not like I have a copy of Friends of Mineral Town just laying around. I've not had a copy of Back to Nature in a long time, so it's been a while since I heard that music. The only thing I wish they had done is on the title screen, I wish we could play the classical menu music. But I thought this would be a pretty cool time to go over the bachelorettes of the original Back to Nature, because I gotta admit, my marriage candidate videos for these games do very well. So I thought I would talk about it. Now, of course, I'm only going to go over the girls because for so long it was just bachelorettes. There were no bachelors. And since I never played any of the boy and girl versions of the older games, not much I can say. Now, of course, there's the remake where you can pretty much marry whoever you want to. But as I said, I want to go over the classic 5. Probably the bachelorettes that have been used the most throughout this entire series. And yes, they've come out with a lot of marriage candidates that were great. But these 5 girls have been in more games than any other marriage candidates. They've been in games where they're not even marriage candidates. They're guest characters. But, so I didn't know exactly what order I wanted to put these in. It's not least favorite to most favorite or anything like that. I just put them like this, depending on what I have to say about them. And the first is going to be Mary. Now, there's some versions where she's called Maria, but in original Back to Nature, it was Mary, M-A-R-Y, though in the remake, it's spelled M-A-R-I-E. And really, through all the games, she's basically the same character. A lot of people have voted her the least favorite. Now, I don't know if that was a product of its time, but a lot of people have come out and said that she's actually their favorite, because who doesn't like the cute librarian? Like, really? Now, I will admit, her remake design does do her a lot more, like, there was a lot of people who said that she wasn't their favorite until the remake came out, and they think she's the most gorgeous one out of all of them. But, Mary is pretty much it depends on which game, because between 64 and Back to Nature, characters' roles changed a little bit, their families changed a little bit, but I'm going to go by Back to Nature and Friends of Mineral Town, where she's the daughter of Basil, who's pretty much he's not really an adventurer, but he looks for herbs and stuff like that, and flowers. I guess kind of a botanist in a way. But she runs the town library. Now, like, I think in Harvest Moon 64, she's actually the daughter of the mayor. Like I said, they switch some stuff from game to game. But, you know, quiet, shy, opens up once you get to know her a little bit better. I don't think I ever married her in the original games. Now, in the remake, I did. I married all the candidates, and hers was actually pretty romantic. It was pretty deep because she's trying to write a book, and she uses a lot of the dialogue she wants to use in the book to profess her love to you and all that. So it was actually a really good romance. I think a little bit better than what was in the original game. But yeah, it always surprised me that she was always the least favorite, because girls with glasses are cute. Girls with dark hair are usually really cute. I'm saying that because, you know, my wife has dark hair. But but yeah, Mary was the type of girl that players who liked the shy girl. And like, all these girls fit kind of archetypes in a way, and Mary was the shy girl. Next we have Ellie. Now, in Back to Nature, it was E-L-L-I. In the remake, it is E-L-L-Y. And in all versions, she's kind of the same. Now, I think in 64, she ran the bakery, I think, where in Back to Nature and Friends of Mineral Town, she is a nurse. But, you know, she kind of fits both, because the apron that she wears could be like some kind of cooking profession, but it also kind of looks like a nurse's outfit. Ellie is kind of I don't know if I want to say the most mature, but maybe the most mature in how she behaves. She always hits the kind of middle mark for a lot of people, because some people like how wife material she is for some people, where some others say she's boring. She definitely kind of has that. She kind of does act like the oldest one out of all of them. Not really much to say about her. I think I romanced her once in the original. Of course I did in the remake, and really they didn't change much with her. Of course, in Back to Nature, she'll marry the doctor if you don't marry her. And that's one thing I kind of wish they had brought back in the remake, was the rivals, just because it made things a little bit more interesting. It's just kind of weird that in the remake, if you don't marry, whoever you don't marry, they just stay single forever. Even though they have cutscenes with each other. It was weird. But yeah, not really much to say on Ellie. She's the one that I don't have that much experience with. So, but with, like I said, with Mary, it was the shy girl archetype. With Ellie, it was kind of the mature girl, pretty much. Now, moving on to Potpourri. Now, she's one of the two characters who did not get a name change between the originals and the remake. Potpourri, in a lot of ways, can be classified as the childish one. She cries easily when she gets upset. She's the girly girl in this scenario. She fits the girly girl archetype. You know, the beautiful pink flowing hair, the dress that she wears. Her story is actually kind of sad in a lot of ways. Her mother is very sickly, and their father disappeared years ago trying to find a cure, and he never came back, which is a mystery to this day that has never been solved in any of these games. You never find out what exactly happened. But one thing that always kept me away from her is that her family runs the local chicken shop, and I have a phobia of birds, chickens especially. If I've not told that story yet, I will tell it one day down the road. But yeah, not much of a chicken fan, even though I do keep them on my farm because, hey, eggs are profitable. But yeah, I just never found myself always going to the chicken place. Once I bought all my chickens that I could, I didn't really have a reason to go there anymore, especially if I could grow corn to make my own feed. But for Potpourri, you definitely get a good bit of character development. She does kind of go from being kind of childish, the less mature of all the girls, to taking more responsibility, growing up a bit more personality-wise. So, once again, archetypes, because these games did a really good job in the early days of keeping their bachelorettes simple. Now, of course, in future games, they got a lot more complicated, which is not a bad thing. But it's funny to look back at this game and realize, wow, the classic 5 girls really fit archetypes that you would see in stories like this. Once again, Mary, the shy girl, Ellie, the more mature girl, and then you have Potpourri, who is the more girly girl, you know. So next we have Anne, who was renamed Ran in the remake. I have no idea why. I think Anne would have been fine to keep what her name is. Despite her now being my second favorite bachelorette from these games, Anne was actually the first one I ever married. And it's because at that time I had I'll admit it, I had a thing for redheads. And Anne is the tomboy. That's exactly what she is. She is the tomboy, very silly, very lighthearted, that kind of hides her more serious, she hides her emotions in a lot of ways. And which is funny because when you guys start getting closer, she starts getting a little bit shy around you, and it's kind of cute, the rough and tumble tomboy, getting flustered and getting nervous around you when she's starting to fall in love. But she lives at the inn with her father, who runs the inn. Their house is on top of the inn, and I forgot what happened to her mother. I can't remember if she passed away or if she, I don't think she left. They don't, like, I think she passed away, I think. I can't remember. But, it's funny, it's cute with this and that a kind of family grooms here, much so more than with the other families. I can't remember if any of the other scenes go like this, but I know when the childbirth scene happened in Harvest Moon Back to Nature, you're standing out in the hallway with her father, and her father is just as nervous as you, and he's like trying to tell you to stay calm, and of course your character starts walking back and forth, pacing, you know, the classic pacing while your child is being born. And after you marry Anne, you can access other rooms of the inn that you couldn't originally, and it's because, you know, hey, you're family now. And actually, I'm wrong. They do not live at the top of the inn. That's where guests stay. There is a door in the original, and I can't remember if there's one. I think there is one in the remake that goes to their actual living quarters. And of course, you've got to get closer to them to access that. But yes, Anne was originally my favorite, and once again, she fits the archetype of the tomboy. Last but not least, we have probably the most popular bachelorette, depending on who you ask, and that is Karen. Of course, Karen fits the bad girl in a lot of ways. She's definitely the more mature looking as far as looks go. She's the pretty girl. She would definitely be the most popular girl in the village, more than likely. The popular girl in school. Now, in Harvest Moon 64, she actually had a bit more of a dark story going on, because in Harvest Moon 64, her father is Duke. And he likes drinking the grape wine a little too much, and it causes problems at home. In Back to Nature and Friends of Mineral Town, Jeff is her father, and they run the general store, and he's... what's the word? He gets stomach ulcers very easily. Like, he's a worrywart. Between Karen and her mother, he's definitely not the... He doesn't lead the place. Let's just say that. And Karen is, in each game, a bit of a drinker herself. One of her favorite one of her favorite gifts is grape wine. You can buy it daily, and it boosts her heart color up big time. Now, there was a glitch in Harvest Moon 64 that if you kept on spamming showing her your dog, her heart color would literally like go from black or purple all the way to red within a few minutes. Pretty much breaking the game and making her marriageable within first meeting her. But yes, a lot of people like Karen. They think she was the most popular. She was the most interesting. Her story in 64 was definitely on the dark side for a game at that time. But she has a very unique personality. She's the wild girl, the bad girl. She can also sing very, very well. During the fall, during the I forgot what it's officially called, but it's like a music festival, and they sing at the church, and she's the one that sings. And I remember in the original, it was a really cool thing to see. In the remake, it's not as impactful, but it was still enjoyable. And you know, this day and age, I always marry Karen. I like her remake design a little bit. I know some thought she was a little generic looking now, but she still has like different colored hair, but instead of the blonde tip bangs, her hair starts to turn dark at the ends in the remake. That's just a little something that I noticed. But more like, you know, mostly the characters stayed the same from the original Friends of Mineral Town to the remake, and Back to Nature really as well, because the cutscenes and all that happen in the remake are the exact ones that happen in not only Friends of Mineral Town on the Game Boy Advance, but the exact ones that happened on Back to Nature. So yes, that is my little trip down memory lane with Harvest Moon Back to Nature. It was the first Harvest Moon game, which, yes, I know it's now called Story of Seasons, that I ever played. It's what got me into the series, and it's why I still play the games to this day. And I'll go ahead and say, guys, Natsume actually did something right. Winds of Anthos, I finally got a copy not too long ago. I've played a little bit of it. It's not bad. It's actually a pretty good little game. And you know, we got two other Story of Seasons games coming out sometime soon, plus 2 other Rune Factory games. That is going to be interesting. But if you guys like this, if you'd like me to talk more about the games that defied my gaming tastes now, let me know, because other than this game, the other games on the PlayStation 1 that really defined what I liked in video games was not only Harvest Moon Back to Nature, but those also Final Fantasy IX, Dino Crisis, and the game that really started it all for me, Legend of Legaia. If you've never heard of it, go look it up. If you want me to talk about it one day, I will. I've got both the North American version and the Japanese version. But that's going to be it for this video today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, click that like button, leave a comment. I know it was kind of a random video, but I was just like, you know what? I've never really talked about this game at length, so I wanted to give you guys a little treat, let you know a little bit more about me. So yes, subscribe, like, all that stuff below, guys, please, very much. Me and Jess love you guys. Stay warm, and we will see you in the next one. See ya.